welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something that maybe seems a bit distant, but believe me, our sources show it connects directly to things you probably care about: investments, maybe even your job.
Yeah, we're tackling the intersection of high-stakes politics and the money markets. Specifically, we're zeroing in on two really big names right now, Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Our mission today, to dig through this pile of research we've got here and pull out what really matters about Musk's potential new political party and Trump's deportation plan. How could they actually hit the stock market?
Exactly. And it's crucial stuff, whether you follow global politics closely or you're keeping an eye on your portfolio. The connections here, as our sources lay out, are maybe more surprising than you'd think. We'll definitely get into that.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The first big piece of news from our sources. Elon Musk. We all know Tesla, SpaceX, XX, but now politics, a whole new party. That feels like a pretty massive step. It's huge, no doubt about it. And that's what makes it so interesting to look at. What we're seeing from the reports is, even though the name isn't set yet, the direction seems clear. It's leaning heavily into technology, innovation, and, free speech. It kind of echoes some themes we've seen from him before, but in a totally new context.
And he's been pretty blunt about why, hasn't he? There's that quote, "America needs a leader who makes decisions based on science, business, and logic."
Yeah, and hearing that from someone like Musk, I mean, he's built his reputation on disrupting things, often with a very specific data-first kind of approach. It's significant. Our sources are flagging this for investors. It's not just about his personal politics. It's the potential for more regulatory eyes on his companies, maybe a feeling he's distracted from the core business, or even, does it change the brand perception? These things could make investors pause and rethink the long-term picture for companies like Tesla or X. It adds a layer of, political risk.
So, for you listening, why pay attention? It's not just about an election. It's how these ideas, these different approaches, could actually start shaping economic policy and market mood. It creates a whole new risk calculation for some really major stocks. All right, so that's one major figure potentially shaking things up. But our sources also point to another big political development. It's not brand new, but it's definitely back in the spotlight and could also have pretty big market ripples: Donald Trump's deportation plan.
Yes, the sources confirm he's been very direct about this on the campaign trail. The quote being reported is clear: millions of illegal immigrants will be deported. It's presented as a very concrete goal. And the immediate fallout within the U.S., the reports suggest it would likely crank up political polarization even further, which, often likes to deadlock in Washington, more uncertainty about regulations. Investors generally don't love that kind of uncertainty, right? Especially in sectors that are sensitive to policy changes. Plus, there's the climate of fear it could create among immigrant workers that has real potential to affect businesses.
It really makes you think, how can a policy that seems focused inside the U.S., like immigration enforcement, actually spread out and impact the global economy? Where are those connections? Okay, so we got these two big political plays on the table: Musk's potential party, Trump's deportation push. Yeah. But here's where our deep dive really starts connecting the dots. How does this stuff actually move the stock market?
Right. So the first specific impact our sources are highlighting relates back to Musk. It's this idea of a potential dip in tech stocks. And it's not just a general feeling. The analysis we've seen suggests it's tied to those concerns we mentioned: regulatory heat, maybe a perceived lack of focus, or even just the brand getting tangled up in politics. It basically introduces risks that aren't purely about innovation or sales numbers, risks that are harder to quantify. So it really begs the question, how much does political association matter to investors when looking at these huge companies?
Interesting. Okay, what's the second impact?
The second one links directly to Trump's policy, his deportation plan. It's widely expected to hit the workforce, particularly in IT and tech. Think about it. Potentially tighter labor pools, maybe driving up costs for companies trying to find talent. Could it slow down innovation if you lose that diversity of skills? Maybe even cause operational hiccups. These aren't small things. They could squeeze profit margins for tech firms. And if that happens, investors might start adjusting their valuations downwards. That puts pressure on indices like the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. You see the chain reaction.
Yeah, a very direct line from immigration policy to broad market performance.
Right.
Okay, what's the third one? You mentioned something surprising.
Yes. This third one is maybe the most counterintuitive. It's this potential dual effect for a country like India, a threat and an opportunity, sort of. So if skilled foreign workers, particularly in tech, end up leaving the U.S. due to policy changes, where do they go? Our sources suggest a significant number might return to India, and that could actually be a boost for Indian IT stocks. You get this sudden influx of highly skilled, US-trained talent hitting the Indian market. It could make their tech sector even stronger, maybe attract investment that would have otherwise stayed in the US.
Wow. So a domestic U.S. policy could end up rerouting global talent and potentially investment capital.
Precisely. It really underscores how interconnected everything is. A policy decision made in Washington could have tangible market effects in Mumbai or Bangalore. It shows how capital and talent are, well, fluid. They'll find pathways.
So putting this all together, what does it mean for you trying to understand these markets? If you're managing investments, these aren't just news headlines. Our sources are basically saying these political shifts could directly influence where money flows next.
Yeah, which sectors might see more ups and downs? Where skilled workers might be heading? That India example is really striking, isn't it? How a U.S. immigration policy could reshape tech dynamics globally.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder of that interconnectedness. So wrapping this up, what we've really seen today is how tangled politics, business, and ultimately your own finances have become. This whole situation with Musk and Trump, it's not just political theater. It seems to be a real force shaping economies, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. And the sources really leave you, the listener, with two big questions hanging in the air. First, who are Americans actually going to support in this shifting landscape? And second, maybe more immediately relevant for many, what's this whole political battle in the world's biggest economy actually going to mean for your money, for your investments?
Right. And maybe here's one final thought to chew on as we finish. We live in a world now where politics isn't just happening over there in government buildings. It's hitting the stock market. It's affecting businesses. It's touching your financial life directly. So the real question is, how do you start thinking critically about that? How do you adapt your own strategies, whether it's investing, your career path, or just how you understand what's going on globally when these big political tides become such powerful economic forces? Something to consider.